Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 17th of May. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which does look as though it's delivering a little bit of a top at the moment, up towards 84.70, 80. On the downside, we were expecting a potential dip down to 83.30.40. That's where we are at the moment. But obviously, if we get back through the 84.50 level, then hopefully 8500 plus should be on tap. RSI in the very overbought area, but not excessively so. So there is the chance of a bounce from the 8400 area and then back to record highs. Moving on to the DAX, and here the picture has been steady in the recent past. Currently trying to find support, ideally above the old March-April resistance, so 18,600 plus. If we can do that, then we could be heading towards the top of the rising trend channel from back in October as high as 19,400. Probably looking at the end of next month now rather than this month, given the fallback that we've had over the last couple of sessions. Moving on to the Dow, and here the picture was, the headline was that we managed to crack the 40,000 area for a few seconds yesterday, maybe a bit longer than that, but at least while we're above the recent swing support there, 39,300, looking for 41,200 by the end of next month. If we're really lucky, we won't trade back below 39,700, which was resistance on the way up. Worst case, I suppose, is that we have a rug pull down to the rising 50-day line, 38,700. But at this stage, it looks as though we might get off rather more lightly than that. 39,300 seems fair. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has revived itself this week, breaking through the 50-day line and that March resistance line. And actually, we've almost got a little bull flag resting on that, ready for a new leg to the upside. We would expect on that basis the record peaks there towards the 74,000 area, 73,600 I think the peak, and that could happen by the end of this month while we remain above the 50-day line, 64,600. So feeling quite chipper about that, especially given the way that the RSI is now at 57 and we've had an RSI rebound above neutral 50. Moving along to gold, and here a little bit tired, a little bit of a problem in that sort of 2365 to 2400 area, and at least while we're above that and for the rising trend channel from back in February, looking for a retest of 2448, the record high from April by the end of this month. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with Asiamet, just to celebrate the revival in copper. Here you can see that with the yesterday's tentative little bull flag breakout has extended itself. I think we were looking for 1 3/4 pence by the end of next month. It looks as though the shares could even manage to do that by the end of this month. That's the upper parallel of the previous two targets that we've had, that March resistance line projection from last year. Upside valid certainly while we're above the initial May resistance at 1.3 pence. Moving on to Angus Energy, largely because we haven't looked at it for a long time, and you can see on the chart perhaps why. But what's interesting at the moment is we've got a rising 50-day line near the lows, and we bounced off that, so that could be the first sign of recovery. Initial target here, obviously the upper 50s, but ideally we get up to 0.75 by the end of next month through some perhaps some magical event that the company will deliver. But the key here is staying or having no end of day close back below 0.38 and the 50-day line. Moving on to another stock which I haven't looked at in years perhaps, which is Avation, and here rather surprisingly, given perhaps the outlook in terms of a possible plane shortage, or maybe because of that, we see the shares rising quite rapidly, but a rising trend channel there from back in 2021 really effectively. And what's exciting at the moment is the way that we've got, we're probably a day or two away from a golden cross, and we gapped higher today. So that looks like a strong signal. The longer we stay above 130 rather, the old resistance, the greater the chance of a move up to 155. And I'm looking for that by the end of next month. Maybe the people can look up the fundamentals behind why Avation would be rising at the moment. Moving on to a stock which I forgot to mention yesterday in the video, and I've tweeted out. Here we've got Belliskura. Looks like we've got a broadening triangle base. We've got the shares hopefully filling filling the gap up to 18.5 pence over the next few days, and then looking for 29 pence by the end of next month. The stop loss there, the 50-day line, and the floor of the initial gap there from back in April at 13 pence. So above 13, looking for 29 there on Belliskura. Moving on to Cornish Metals, which said that it knew no reason for the share price fall, which didn't mention anything about dewatering either, which was amazing. Here you can see there's a possible broadening triangle rebound for the shares, but probably the bulls feeling much better if we can get back above the old April support there, 7.3 pence. An end of day close above that would seal the deal on a potential bear trap. There's also, I suppose, a gap to fill up to 10 pence, which at the moment feels like it is quite a long way away. Next up is stock which I don't think I've ever covered before, Conygar, and here we've got a broadening triangle base. We've broken that resistance line there, the red one there from February. That is at 70, or was at 78 pence. A decent end of day close today above the 50-day line at 81 pence, and we could be looking at potentially 96 pence by the end of next month, although I must admit, can't imagine thousands of people getting into that situation. But the key here, staying above 78. Next up one is electric guitar, and here you can see that just the first signs after the reverse the other week that the shares are bouncing. Basically, the gap here today, gap yesterday actually, a bit of a technical signal, and that suggests that perhaps the shares will, hopefully by the end of this month, break that falling trend channel, 2.1 pence on the 50-day line, and maybe head up to 2.5, or 2.6 pence by the end of next month, which was the resistance on the way down. But obviously that's a notional level given all that's happened here with the reverse. Moving on to FireAngel, which for some reason is one of the big movers of the day, and here you can see on the chart that it's interesting that the shares gapped up in October, then gapped down again, so that was rather nasty in March, but the rebound has been from above the floor of the gap, and we've gapped through the 50 and 200-day moving averages, which are both rising. That suggests we're in the run-up to a golden cross, and the 8.5 pence could be easily achievable, perhaps, as soon as the end of this month. Presumably the spread there is rather horrific, but it's 8.5 mid the target there, especially while we're above the 4 pence area. Moving along to Greatland Gold, which shock horror is actually turning around. A wonderful turnaround, actually. We were sniffing that a little while ago at the turn of the month, and typically for Greatland there was a slight pullback just to shake off the weak hands, but we didn't actually really go below that line at 5.7 pence. Initial target here was 7.4 pence, and we can now upgrade that to as high as 9 pence by the end of next month, if we're really lucky by the end of this month, but going for a conservative target and time frame. Ideally we close above the 7 pence level, which was that March peak today, and then hopefully then 9 pence could even be delivered by the end of this month. Moving along to Hummingbird, where double good news has so far been met with a 17 pence rise, 17% rise. I think I was looking for 20 or 30, so obviously there's still a chance, but we've had a gap through the 200-day line there at 9.6 pence and broken that line of resistance from July at 10.5. Above the 200-day line now, looking for 15 or 16 pence by the end of next month, or hopefully much sooner, given the news. IG Design is a bit of a lap of honour. I saw that the Times, which is always quick on these things, mentioned the company yesterday. We've already hit our old target there, £1.70, well before the Times mentioned it a week or two ago, and looking for our best case scenario target there at 224 by the end of this month. After that, we'll probably be looking to upgrade the potential upside. The favoured target at this point, if you're a fan of the shares, would be to dream of a target as high as £3 by the end of next month, but maybe that is pushing it. The other point to note here is that we've got a 50 and 200-day moving average rising pattern there, so in the run-up to a golden cross, hopefully by next week. Upside valid here while we're above the 190 area, which was the close a couple of days ago. Moving on to a less flamboyant situation, Oriole Resources, but it looks like we're bouncing off the floor of a rising trend channel here. The 50-day line also rising now, so looking for up to the 0.58 area by the end of next month, top of that rising trend channel from this time last year. And the upside value while we hold above the 50-day line at 0.3, so above 0.3, looking for basically 0.6 on there. Interesting to see that Plant Health has managed to deliver the goods. I think the suspicion that we were going to turn around after a long time has proved to be correct. Initial target here, 5.4 pence at the 200-day line at the top of that rising trend channel base from November. Looking for up to 7.5 pence at the upper parallel of that now by the end of next month, which would be quite a coup. Main thing is to remain above 4 3/4, the initial May resistance. On to another stock, which is a bit of a surprise winner. Here we've got, or here we had a bear trap gap reversal with Pipehawk. I'm sure nobody trades it, but at least it's worked. And above the 50-day line there at 7 pence mid, we're looking for 12.5 pence as soon as the end of next month. If that works, it would be quite an achievement. Moving on to Tirupati, where there's all sorts of shenanigans in and out of the boardroom, but looks as though the shares may have found a bit of a footing here. Possibility of a broadening triangle base for the shares. So I suppose the top of the triangle there now, as I have drawn it, that would mean if we were heading for a target around 7 pence, but obviously that doesn't factor in things like the requisition and other things going on at the moment, which are rather queering the pitch. Initial battle would be won if we close above that the low of last week at 4 1/4 pence. So we need an end of day close above current levels to start triggering a little bit of a bear trap. There's a gap to fill there at 5 1/4 near the 50-day moving average as the first destination for the shares. Finishing off with a stock which I think I covered yesterday, but it's back again today, RBG Holdings. Here we've got this rising trend channel base, initial target here 13 pence, and I think we're near enough to that to upgrade the target to the next parallel, which would be up to 19 pence by the end of next month for those who are interested in a potential lasting turnaround situation. The key here is staying above the 50-day line at 10 1/4 to get that target as high as 19 pence. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.